Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Ask for approval of the agenda. Moved by Bob, seconded by Marilyn. Thank you. All those in favor? Carried. Pardon me?
Do I do my...
Yes, go ahead.
Good evening and thank you for joining. I would ask that all devices be turned off or silenced. Tonight's meeting is a public meeting held under the Planning Act and is being live streamed to the Township's YouTube page. Collection of personal information as a result of the public meeting is under the authority of the Planning Act and will be used to assist in making a decision on these matters. Persons speaking at the meeting are requested to give their name and address for recording in the minutes. All names, addresses, opinions, and comments may be collected and may form part of the minutes, which will be available to the public. Additionally, interested members of the public can email the Clerk or Development Services Department if they wish to be notified regarding a particular application. Questions regarding this collection should be forwarded to the Development Services Department. Tonight's meeting is to consider public meeting reports. These reports contain a staff recommendation, and the recommendation is typically to approve with conditions, defer the application, or to deny. After the planner's presentation, committee members will be able to ask questions of staff, followed by members of the public. Following the question and answer period, this committee then makes a recommendation of the applications to approve, defer, or deny. Following committee's decision, notice will be circulated in accordance with the Planning Act. If a specified person or public body would otherwise have the ability to appeal the decision of the committee to the Ontario Land Tribunal, but the specified person or public body does not make an oral submission at the public meeting or make a written submission to the Township of Stone Mills before the application is provisionally approved, the specified person or public body is not entitled to appeal this decision. So I will call this meeting to order at 5:02 p.m.
Thank you, Owen. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? Let the record show there are none. Declarations or conflict of interest? I have to declare a conflict of interest on the minor variance that's before us this evening, so I will ask Robert to chair the meeting when it comes to that. Recommendation that the minutes of May be approved. Moved by Bob, seconded by Marilyn again. Any discussion, any errors or omissions arising out of that? Yes, Marilyn?
I just noticed that there was a little mention about...
Your microphone, Marilyn.
Oh, sorry. I noticed there was one mention of Mr. Gotta find it, sorry. Mr. Lasher, which I think should have said it was Mr. Sinclair, and it is, ta-da, it is to do with, excuse me, should have made a note, sorry to say.
What are you referring to, Marilyn?
There's just a reference to Mr. Lasher coming back with the survey information that we were after, and I think it should have been worded it was Mr. Sinclair. It was not a big deal, but...
I'll take a look at that, Marilyn, and we'll correct it for the final approval.
Thanks, Owen. I, by the time I realized it was there, I didn't have time to call you, so.
Okay, Marilyn?
Yes, thanks.
Anything further? In the minutes? All those in favor? Carried. Okay. Minor variance. I will ask Bob to take over and I shall vacate. Yep.
minor variance application 2025-0006. Mr. Darby, would you please join us at the table? Jason?
Thank you, Mr. Sergeant. This application relates to 749 Church Road. Mr. Darby has joined us this evening, and he's looking for permission to construct a detached garage on the property and essentially replace an existing carport type structure with a permanent garage. The unfortunate reality to building the garage is the fact that the front yard setback and the rear and the interior side yard setback on the property fail to conform to the zoning bylaw. So the applicant's requesting 2 minor variances through the Committee of Adjustment this evening. With respect to the front yard setback, 15 meters is required, 11.96 is proposed, so the relief of 3.04 is being sought. And regarding the interior side yard setback, the 5 meter requirement is proposed to be reduced to 2.68, which is nearly half, so 2.32 meters of relief. So from a staff perspective, we've looked at the application, reviewed it against the 4 tests of a minor variance, and are of the opinion that the proposal conforms to the 4 tests. One aspect of a side yard setback requirement I just want to raise for the awareness of committee is that the side yard differs depending on the height of a detached accessory structure. Mr. Darby and I actually discussed this briefly in that a 5 meter side yard seems fairly substantive in the rural area, when in the urban area you can actually get a smaller setback often for an accessory structure. Our zoning bylaw in Stone Mills has a 3.5 meter max height. So if you're lesser than 3.5 meters on a detached garage, you're allowed to go down to 1.2 meters for a side yard. Whereas if you're over that max height or over that height of 3.5, you're subject to the requirements of the principal zone. So that's why it jumps to 5 meters. The building that's being proposed, I believe, is 4.88, 4.9 meters in max height. So that's the reason for the interior side yard. But really, the interior side yard is not significantly different than the existing interior side yard that the carport occupies. And it really is the only functional spot on the property, given the driveway, the septic system, and the layout of the lot. So we think it's contextually appropriate. There's no negative impact to a neighbor immediately to the west on the adjacent property. In addition to the planning assessment, circulation was provided, mailed out to 6 property owners in the 60 meter area, signage on site, and we've received no public comments to date, no concerns from any neighbors, and obviously nobody here this evening to contest the application. We recommend that the application be approved subject to the 1 condition incorporated within. Happy to answer any questions that committee may have from a planning point of view or any other aspect of the file. Thank you.
Any questions or any concerns?
Yeah, one or a couple of points I'd like to make. From the sketch that was provided and the on-site inspection, there appears to be more than enough room for that garage to meet the front yard and side yard setbacks if it were moved further back from the road and closer to the house. So my question is there any reason why that can't be done?
I thought you were supposed to be 10 feet away from the chimney on the house.
Okay, look, it's the thing. It's hard to read. It's way too small. If that is the chimney that we're looking at, right there, it's 3.1 meters or something. From the proposed garage. If that little jet out at the back corner of the house is the chimney, right? Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah. So that's basically 10 feet. The garage is 10 feet from the chimney. Yes. But okay, what I was getting at, like, you only need another 2 meters, so you can, if the garage went closer to the house, you'd still be a meter from the chimney, and then if you moved it back, you'd be the 15 meters from the road as well. That's why I'm just questioning why Okay, it doesn't show on the sketch at all either, where the septic is. So you're saying that you couldn't push it back another 3 or 4 meters, it'd be getting closer to your septic system behind the house?
I'm not sure what the, how far from the septic I'm supposed to be, so I just, I'm not too familiar with it. I thought that we were supposed to be the same distance away from the front property line as the house, and the way the property line is on an angle, my house basically looks like my front deck is on the property line.
Pretty close. It certainly
Yeah.
doesn't conform to the 15 meters setback. No, I'm just making those points because that's what I noticed. I mean, the 3 meters requested for the front yard and the 2 meters in the location that you're at, I don't really have any concerns, but I was just curious as to why, you know, you can move the garage back closer to the house and you wouldn't need a minor variance. So that was just my point.
Okay. And there's a big ravine in the back, so I didn't want to go back too far for that either.
Yeah, because that ravine that goes down to that creek, eh?
Yes, sir.
Marilyn? No comments?
No, I have no comments. I don't see a big problem because as to, to the west, there's that big farm field or whatever, so no close neighbors, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not the chief building official, so if they've told you that you need to be 10 feet away from the chimney, then you're trying your best to be that. And as far as, I don't know where the septic bed is, because it looks like they've taken the septic tank area from the township records. Right. So the bed itself has to be somewhere in that neighborhood. And so I'm thinking it might be difficult to keep it away from the septic bed.
I was just trying to keep it in line with the front of my house, to be honest.
Other than that, I don't see any problem.
Nope.
Through you, Mr. Chair, just a couple points I can add. To Member Eberhardt's first question of proximity to the house, the zoning bylaw says the minimum is 5 feet or 1.5 meters. So there is ability to be closer to the house than 10 for as of right. It doesn't say that there's a maximum though. So like the zoning bylaw doesn't say you ought to be a minimum of 5, but you can't be any more than 8, for example. So there is an ability to shift it tighter to the house that wouldn't require Planning Act approval. It would be awfully tight if you were to try to comply with the side yard though. I'm just trying to do the math in my head. Down 1.5, you're not going to be quite there, but it's possible to be a little bit closer. With respect to the septic, yeah, Kathleen, our building department, Kathleen and Jake looked at this and had no issues where it is today, of course. If you were to push back, then there's more question around that. The other aspect of it is the front yard variance is, in our assessment, it's significantly greater than the existing house, as we all know. And even though we are asking for relief for it through the committee, it seems appropriate with respect to being able to still provide for adequate parking in front of the garage if you didn't use the garage, for example, for a vehicle and park in front of it. So it still allows for the functionality of the site to work in the roughly 12 meters that are proposed in that location. So I just wanted to provide that clarity for the committee as well.
Call for a motion?
I motion that we accept this as proposed.
I'll second that.
Call the vote. All in favor? Happy motoring. Jason will get in touch with you, or somebody will get in touch with you and let you know what's going on.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. We'll send out notice of decisions tomorrow. There's a 20-day statutory appeal period. Until you can get a building permit, basically. You can get the building permit application submitted through the building department's office, so that on day 21 from tomorrow, they can actually issue the permit. It's a legislative thing from the province that we have to sit 20 days for appeals. All that being said, there's no third-party appeals, so it's not as though anyone can appeal the decision. It's just idle time, essentially. But then I do encourage it. It'd be a good window to get the building plans and discuss that with Jake, our chief building official, on what he's going to look for your drawings, for example. But you can start that as early as tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so again, it's been approved tonight. The committee thinks it's something that they can live with, essentially, with the reductions and variances. So I would say you have confidence now to initiate that permit process, even though we're into an appeal period, yeah.
So just come here and do that? Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Go ahead, Dieter.
I have a question about road widenings. On this property, they did a considerable road widening. It looks to me like maybe well over 4 meters. So the reason some of these properties, or in this case, for the setbacks don't conform is because of the fact that the township took a big road widening. So how does that actually affect the status of the property? Is it now legally non-conforming when the township takes a road widening and it turns out that the setbacks don't conform because of the fact that the township took some property? How does that work, Jason?
That's a great question, Dieter. And you always save the great questions for me for the unexpected times. But I'll point you to section 373 of our zoning bylaw. There's a general provision section in the zoning bylaw that accounts for just that. And it basically says if you take a widening, it does not adversely affect property development from the sense of lot coverage or yard setback provisions. So it tries to recognize that it's better for the public good, but it's not going to adversely affect your development potential. Yeah.
Thanks, that's what I wanted to know.
3.73, and I just want to extend that. It extends beyond just widenings. Remember Eberhard, to daylight triangles, turning circles, or bulbs if we have to widen on an instance like Robinson Road, for example. So it takes into consideration when transferring to county or township for highway purposes.
Does it also affect area? Like if a property is, let's say, it conformed when it was created, and of course they took a step off the front, now the acreage no longer conform, that's Granford in there as well?
Yeah, lot frontage, just given the fact that a triangle, daylight triangle would have that implication. So lot frontage, lot area, and front yard setback are the three provisions that are typically addressed, and they're addressed in that 373 clause.
Okay. Anyone else? See, it's going to be a short meeting tonight. Anybody have any remarks to say? No? Yes, Merrill?
Can we say thank you for everything, Jason?
Thank you, Member Fenwick. Absolutely you can. We, we have treats. And, and when the meeting concludes, we can finish our treats.
Yes, yes, Dieter? Go ahead.
Well, I can tell you, I'm certainly going to miss your wise counsel and your familiar face. I'm really sad that as you're retiring from your position here, but it's been great to have you here, at least for 6 years. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much, Dieter. It's been a pleasure working with you. And
Yes, Bob?
yeah.
Sad to see him go, but happy he's going to a better option where he wants to go with his future career.
Thanks, Bob. Much appreciated.
Well, I guess last but not least, it's been a very informative 6 years, Jason, that you have spent here. I value our friendship. I value our work together that has happened with you and this committee. It's been trying by times. We've had our ups and we've had our downs. But I wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and I would hope that the municipality would have you back to do severances as Arcadis, IBI have done in the past. All the best to you, my friend.
Thank you very much, Bob. Appreciate that.
Okay, anything else? Anybody have anything else? Ask for an adjournment. Moved by Bob, seconded by Merrill. All those in favor? Carried.